Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our Let's Talk Tri-Delta podcast.
I'm Lexi Legs, and I am Tri-Delta's Program Development Specialist, and I am also joined by
Meredith Davies, Tri-Delta's Philanthropy Specialist.
And we are so excited to be back here today, and we are joined by three very special guests. We have Emma Tom, Butler, Shannon Bogardus, Delaware, and Aaron Magner, for now, all Senior Chapter Development Consultants, also known as CDCs. The CDC role is a role that is held by a group of 10 to 12 recent college graduates who have demonstrated exceptional leadership both on their campuses and within their Tri-Delta chapters. This position is both demanding and rewarding as our CDCs commit to a full year of traveling to Tri-Delta collegiate chapters. And our senior CDCs, which we have here today, commit to a second year.
Their main role is to offer peer-to-peer support to our collegiate officers, facilitate workshops, help with chapter finances, recruitment, leadership development, and provide assistance with any other needs the chapters might have during their visits. And Lexi, you were a CDC too, from the CDC class of 2018 to 2019. During your time as a CDC, you traveled to 14 chapters. Wow. Established a chapter at Temple University, and now you find yourself back at Tri-Delta as Tri-Delta's Program Development Specialist, where you work on key Tri-Delta programs like Body Image 3D, AAUW Start Smart, and CLC, which is right around the corner.
Yes, it is. And that is so true. And Meredith, you were also a CDC, and during your time, you traveled to 21 chapters. You also helped establish and continue to support our chapter at Sacred Heart University. And you couldn't stay away because even after finishing your senior CDC role, you returned back to Tri-Delta you felt called to support our foundation as our philanthropy specialist. You have assisted in creating the Young Alumni Giving Program, which, might I say, I have gotten the chance to be a part of some of your young alumni events here in the DFW area. And I'm so impressed by a lot of the work that you do with the foundation and creating that friendship society. You also support Tri-Delta's annual scholarship processes and assist with our partnership with St. Jude as well.
Yes, thanks, Lexi. But enough about us. We could go on and on and on, but we have three amazing guests that we are here to talk with today. So welcome, Shannon, Aaron, and Emma. We're so happy to have you today.
Yes, we are so excited to learn more about how your year has gone and just to catch up with you all. So Emma, would you like to start off by just introducing yourself and letting us know who you are?
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Emma. I graduated from the Delta Lambda chapter at Butler University. I served as the director of philanthropy for my first officer position and then served as CCP for 3 semesters, which was a blast. I first wanted to apply to be a CDC like all the way back my sophomore year when we had a consultant named Kirby come visit the chapter. So nice like full circle moment now that it's my like last year in the role. Shannon, you want to go next?
Yes, thank you so much for having us. Shout out Lexi. I'm actually at Temple right now consulting. So another full circle moment for all of us today.
I knew I recognized where you were. I was like, I saw where you were. I'm like, I know I've been there. Oh, I know.
Yes, the red definitely gave it away too in the background. A little bit about me. I'm an alumna from the University of Delaware. I studied communications and political science with minors in law and Spanish. During my time undergrad, I served as chapter president my sophomore year, and then I served as VP recruitment for the Panhellenic side of things at University of Delaware. Looking at consulting this year, especially as a senior consultant, predominantly finance, recruitment, and leadership have been my main focus areas. I just did my numbers the other day, and we've all consulted with over 4,000 individuals, from undergraduate officers, collegiate officers, advisors, FSA staff, and anybody else within that mixture of leadership. So it's definitely shaped me into who I am today, and I'm so excited to round out this year, but I'll let Aaron take it away.
Hi, I'm Erin. I am also a senior chapter development consultant. Right now, I'm chilling at the Denison House in Ohio. I don't know. I know Emma went to Denison last year. I'm currently establishing a chapter myself at Kenyon College, my sweet Pookies. Super exciting. It's been a really rewarding experience. I graduated from Bernal Alpha Epsilon. And I was also CCP for 3 semesters. I was VPME, and I was just called to be in this role because something I love about Tri Delta is our growth structure and our growth model and seeing women just become better versions of themselves. And I was like, what better way to do that than as a consultant?
Absolutely agreed. And Erin, I actually visited Bernal during my time on the road, and I will say that was one of my favorite chapters to visit. Even for you all being small, your sisterhood is something that I thought was just so genuine and authentic. So excited to see full circle that you're not here and that we're all having that experience together. So we kind of want to jump into a quick rapid fire to get to know you all a little bit better. They're a little CDC style, so some specific questions about travel and things like that. But feel free to share out. And Meredith, I don't know if we want to bounce off of these or just kind of go all the way through. Perfect. Okay, well, whoever would like to share first. What is your favorite food that you've tried in a new city?
I've got this one. I went to Ottawa, Canada, and they showed me beaver tails, which when they told me that, I was like a real beaver tail? No. It's basically just fried dough with a bunch of sugar and toppings on it, which of course is delicious, but I think about them sometimes.
I had a very fulfilling experience when I went to UC Davis and they had an In-N-Out burger there, literally like less than half a mile from the chapter house. I had it for the first time at training and my life changed. It's honestly not that good. I just literally love hamburgers and the animal fries. I think about it probably every other day. So I'm really excited to go back to the West Coast and get it In-N-Out, and it's my favorite thing ever.
Shannon's our In-N-Out queen all day, every day. I'd say one of my favorite places was Bagel Deli in Oxford, Ohio. They have like over 100 different like bagel sandwiches on their menu, and I love a good bagel. It's one of my go-to like airport foods. So that was probably one of my favorite spots.
Oh, I love bagels. That sounds good. Okay, favorite airline? Big question.
I'm a Delta girl through and through, loyalist.
I'm
Interesting.
also a Delta girl.
Okay, Shannon, what are you?
I was gonna say I'm an American Airlines girl through and through.
Okay.
I used to be United, but then they broke my luggage and they didn't give me any sort of compensation for it. Then I was pre-approved for an American Airlines credit card, which includes the lounge benefits last year. So naturally, I had to accept that, and it's fabulous. And it's one of my favorite things going to the airport is sitting in the lounge. So I'm American Airlines through and through.
Love. Awesome. What was your favorite snack on the road, or is your favorite snack? You're still on the road.
I love a good basic like ginger ale cookie on the flight, but while I'm in airports, back to the bagels. Like bagel and coffee is my go-to airport snack. I'm very easy to please.
I'm a big fruit snacks girl, especially considering my flights are at like 4 a.m. in the mornings. I have to have just like a little bit of energy, but I don't want to drink soda that early. So I always pack like extra fruit snacks in my carry-on, plus they're light. I think I go through like 3 packs when I'm sitting on a plane.
Oh, yeah.
I always go for dried mango. You can get like a 10-pound bag of them at Costco, and I just shove that thing in my backpack, and that'll last me the whole time.
She's resourceful. That's very smart. I should think about going to Costco before I hit the road. What is your favorite officer role or officer team to work with?
I think the member experience team for me, I just doing so much recruitment, they're always the ones who I would say have the most energy that you can feed off of. They also are the type of people who love different things like design. Oh my gosh, sorry, there's chanting downstairs right now. But I think they're the most like lively group, I would say, as a member experience team.
I would say probably tied between member experience and operations because I love a good recruitment visit. But especially as a senior CDC, I've done a lot of work with chapters that have like lost membership through resignation. So lots of like budget updates, finance things, which I feel like I've gotten really good at. So probably a tie between the two of them.
This one is kind of interesting because I used to never really think about it much, but I really love the community relations team. I think there's so much creativity in the scope of things that you can plan for that. And they're always so willing to do. Literally, I will throw spaghetti at them and they're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
I love that.
And
I love the mention of the creek.
I
Go
was
ahead,
going to say
Mary.
we love the chapter programming and development team too. Don't worry,
Yes,
we love you all.
right. Now everybody might or might not have this one, but what is your travel comfort item? Anything you have to bring with you on the road?
On my
I am
first
like, oh, go ahead, Erin.
Okay. On my first trip ever, I went to Hobby Lobby and I bought a bearded dragon squishmallow, and he comes with me everywhere. He's the perfect little neck pillow on the plane, perfect for cuddling at night. I need him. What can I say?
I have a giant sweater that's really long and I basically use it as a blanket. And I mean, I wear it in the office all the time in Dallas because the air conditioning's so cold. And so then I just started bringing it on planes with me, and it's probably like my most used item of all time.
This is gonna be very not as genuine as the others, but I love my personalized mouse pad. I have to have a full setup during my meetings, especially if I'm on the plane and I'm trying to get work done. I have to have my little mouse pad. It fits my mouse perfectly. It fits a coffee next to it and my agenda for the day. So it's like my number one comfort item in order to get work done. I have to have it, or it just feels off the entire day.
I feel like those are so like indicative of each of our personalities.
So true.
Yes.
Those are very different things. I love that you all found your thing though. That's wonderful. What was your favorite, or what is your favorite region to visit for whatever reason?
I'm gonna cheat and say the Canada region just because I don't really travel outside of the country that much, and they were just so nice and welcoming, and I got to just explore, and I love to explore.
I would say this year, Region 9, especially this like spring semester, I'm only on the West Coast. And so it's really fun to work with chapters on a recurring basis. I'm at Washington State right now, and this is going to be my fifth visit with them this year. So it's fun to kind of have that continuity.
Similarly, I think for the continuity aspect, I've been mostly in Region 1 this semester. It's been really fulfilling to continue to work with a lot of the chapters that I've worked with in the past, especially who have some other like internal and external issues going on. You don't always get to see a lot of the goals and the solutions that you come up with chapters like at that end component when you're a consultant. So I think this year, especially being in Region 1, has been super, super fulfilling to continuously work with a lot of the chapters that I worked with last year.
That is such a good point. I do think that the rapport you have with your chapters definitely helps in your role, and it's not as easy to be rewarding if you can't see the work that you've done. But being able to go back and visit, that's definitely true. What is your most memorable chapter gift?
I would say my second visit ever last year as a first year consultant, I went to the beta chapter at St. Lawrence, and I love drinking Earl Grey tea. Like that's one of my go-tos. I drink it all day, every day. And at the end of my visit, they made me this whole cute little basket with like tea, a mug from the university, and then like a little claw clip from this boutique that we'd gone to. And I bought my sister one, but I didn't buy myself one. And I was like, that was just so cute. So it was my second visit ever too. So it was fun to like already see that connection with collegians.
This is one, it wasn't a gift to me, it was a gift to somebody else. But when I was consulting at Boston, they are a much smaller chapter, and they're the type of chapter whose members are always willing to show up for each other. And I tell everyone, I'm like, if you need to look at one chapter as like a role model, it is Boston, our founding chapter. And I was there with Carter this year during their formal recruitment process. And at the end, we all had shared just like stories and different memories with each other. And at the end, all of the exec team brought out this adorable photo that Carter took like a selfie with all of them within like the very quick chapter recruitment turnaround time of like 12 hours. And they all signed their names and like their favorite memory or something that was really fulfilling to Carter when she left. Everyone was crying. It was really, really wholesome. And it's something that just stood out to me. It was such an amazing weekend.
It's so cute. I'm gonna do a cop-out answer and say that a lot of chapters at chapter will do like little love notes to each other, which I think is great. And sometimes they'll write a note that's like, shout out to Erin, our CDC, for being here. And if you've ever given me a note, even if it's on like a scrap of torn up notebook paper, I still keep them. They're all in a folder. I'm gonna frame them or something.
Same, Erin. I keep
Same.
like thank you note and everything. I started this journal that like my travel log is what I've been calling it. Of likewise, like even if it's a tiny little scrap paper, or if like someone just wrote like a heart or something on one of my manuals, I'll like tear it up and I'll put it in the little journal because it's like the most fulfilling thing to go back to.
Yeah, I like to scrapbook, and so I like specifically have a folder in my suitcase that has all of my little notes, gifts, cards. It's so fun to look at.
I wish
And
I had all
why
of these
does
ideas.
why does this job turn us all into scrapbookers? I really believe that we could ask
True.
any person who was a field consultant at any point, a CDC. We've all either got a scrapbook or a pile or a box. I just moved and realized how much stuff I had, and I was only physically on the road for 1 year, and every hotel room key, I kept every key, every note. I kept confetti from CLC. I mean, I had it all. And I didn't get rid of any of it because it's all just sentimental. Just we can't help it. Just who
I
we are.
kept every boarding pass I have, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to make some sort of like sculpture with these because why do I have a bunch of like crusty boarding passes in my closet?
A printed boarding pass. That is a hot take in itself, right there.
Vintage.
Also per mine. I have to. I'm too paranoid in the airport. Especially I have Xfinity and the cellular is horrible. So my heart starts racing if I'm in the middle of nowhere and I can't load my app to get my boarding pass. It's happened before. So now I print everything because I'm paranoid.
Wow.
Well, now I'm gonna be paranoid. Thanks. Do you all have a thing that you do on the road that makes your life feel a little bit more stable, like you have a little bit more control? What's your thing?
I am not someone that packs light. Like I fully take advantage of like the checked suitcase and the carry-on suitcase. I have like all of my full size like facial care, my pillow. I have to have like a solid morning and night routine, especially if I'm going from like, the East Coast to the West Coast, because that time change just gets you so bad, especially when your flight's at like 4 in the morning.
I keep a pillowcase, my own personal like washcloths and things like that. And then I have a little, UC Davis gave me a little baby like cow thing that I sleep with and I bring it with me everywhere I go because it feels like home and it brings me joy. But yeah, I think things that just make it feel like home or that you're not super, super far away.
I just make sure to call my parents at least once a week. They're my biggest supporters. They are my ride or dies. So, and I'm sure every time I come home, they're like, when are you quitting so that you could be here forever? So they're just always there to like make my day better.
Yes. And Emma, I was gonna go back to that because you said about your pillow. I thought that's what you were gonna mention about your comfort item because I distinctly remember you telling me about the pillow that you travel with. So whatever keeps us stable and sane, I just love that. I thought that was so unique. Got to use that full suitcase. Um, what is your on the road collection? What are you all as you go to your chapters? You kind of already touched on that, but what do you grab every time you visit a school?
I always try and find a like little sticker that you put on your laptop, either in the shape of the state that I'm in or some like identification with the city. Everywhere I go, usually it's like a little mom and pop papery type shop, and I always try and find a little sticker that says where I was for that week.
I take a picture in every airport I go to, which is fun. And then I also take pictures with like the entrance of like the university or college sign that I go to, so that I like have a fun little memory of all the cool spots.
I already told you I have my boarding passes, even some rental cars. If I go to chapter, I kept those pieces of paper. Like I've got receipts.
This is a very
Lexi,
well documented group.
What was your item, Lexi? What did you collect?
I was also going to say mine was stickers. So I actually really like to collect mugs personally, but I don't know if you all had the same situation, but a few returning CDCs gave us advice before we started working. And one of them was like, do not collect mugs. They're very heavy. It can be really rewarding. So I decided to go with something that was light. And so I did stickers and I put them all in this giant gallon water bottle that unfortunately I lost when I moved to Texas. I have no idea where it was, but I had some really cute stickers on there. So that was mine. I know.
It'll come back to you when you need it the most. I'm such a
Right.
believer
It's got to
in
be
that.
somewhere.
One day it's just going to show up and it'll be, again, a full circle moment.
I need it back. What was yours, Mir?
I asked for t-shirts from every single chapter that I visited. I'm like, what t-shirt do you have in your back closet? I don't care how old it is. I want a shirt that says your chapter on it. And I really got one, I think, from pretty much every chapter I visited. And I'm still doing that now with facilitating. If I go to a new chapter and I'm facilitating there, I'm like, and I do now have 2 full boxes of t-shirts. It's really not a good situation, but I mean, what can I do? I need to make one of those quilts. I think that's the only solution. Like have like University of Nebraska 2015 D Hop. Like that I was in high school still when that shirt was made, but I have it and I have a shirt from Nebraska and Nebraska was a new state. And so it's all very sentimental. I can't help it.
I love that. Okay, I think we're going to switch over for some hot topics, some things that people really want to know about the CDC role and that we want to know from your experience. So starting off strong, because I did not do this, how did you all decide to come back on for a senior CDC year? Or even more so, what made you decide to take on the role in the first place?
I can go. Kind of like I said earlier, my chapter had a CDC my sophomore year, and I was just like super into the idea of it. And then my director of first year experience from when I was a new member, her name is Brittany Potts. She was a consultant the year before I joined the team. And then Butler had a new house be built, and there was a big housing campaign. So I worked really closely with some executive staff my senior year while I was president, and just like felt like everything clicked. So that's kind of why I decided to apply. And then I wanted to do a second year because it was already really rewarding my first year when I would go back to a chapter for a second time and already see some of that growth. And so specifically when I decided to do a second year, I asked Val, our supervisor, like specifically if I could go back to like a list of these chapters so we could kind of continue that improvement. So that's been really cool to see.
I one of the things that really made me want to be a CDC, other than the growth aspect that I love, is that, like you said, Lexi, I come from a pretty small chapter. So our consultant was from, I think, LSU, and I literally love her to death. She's awesome. But regardless, she would say some things and I'd be like, what are you talking about? I have no clue how that applies to us. So I was like, well, maybe I should go and be like a little chapter consultant. So that's kind of my mindset going in. And of course I've been to like every size of chapter since then. It's not, we all are like, oh, my chapter's so different, but we're all the same. Let's be real. And I'll give you like a flowery version and then a normal version. So why I wanted to stay on for a second year, first off, you match retirement when you do a second year as consulting. And I wasn't going to pass that up. So if anyone's thinking of staying on for second year being a consultant, know that they have those benefits. And the flowery reason is just that like I fell in love with it. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, but everyone I meet is so cool. I feel like I have a trillion billion crazy stories from the road that like at a party I'm like, oh, well, what about this thing that I did? So it's the best.
Yeah, I second all of that. Being from an emerging chapter too, I think one of the things that really resonated with what brought us to, or University of Delaware to where we were today, was having so much extra help and having consultants. And I really wanted to be that extra support, that mentor, some individual where you don't always understand what someone might be going through, you can still have someone to talk to about some of those learning spaces and areas of growth with chapter members. And for me, that's something that I really wanted to provide for members. And then being on a second year, I had to take some unexpected time off when I was only about 2 visits into the year. And during that time off, like, my family was going through a bunch of stuff, but at the same time, I really just wanted to get back on the road, meet new people, experience new places, and having that extenuating time was something where, not that I didn't feel that I wasn't getting my job done, but I felt like I could do more with it. And that's what kind of brought me into doing an additional year, is kind of making up for that lost time and being able to remain a powerhouse and being a growth consultant essentially, for some of those other chapters that maybe I didn't get to see.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I love all of that. It's
I
practical,
also like the, go ahead, I'm sorry.
practical and cute and fun reasons. I love it. We got both.
Absolutely. I also really like the common theme of the growth. Obviously, we've said growth and development a lot. It's a very prominent aspect of Tri Delta's founding. And to be able to be those growth agents for your chapters, I know from personal experience, is very impactful too.
This is a question we need to ask you for all of our collegians out there. Why should chapters get a visit from a CDC? How does it benefit them? Yeah, what's in it for the chapter to work with you?
I would say recruitment hacks is the first thing that comes to mind. Like the different, like just hacks and tips and little specific nuances that a lot of people don't always know or even were like onboarded with, is something that has been a very common misconception and or area that I've tried to troubleshoot with the majority of the campuses, regardless of how strong you are in regards to recruiting as a chapter, both formally and informally. There's always going to be something that you don't know, even if it's just like staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning while chapter members are kind of losing it a little bit from lack of sleep, and being able to help them push through and submit those lists, and even understanding what a flex list is and having someone explain that to them instead of trying to troubleshoot for 2.5 hours. The little hacks that come along with, and small little tips and tricks.
I think learning about Tri Delta resources is huge at my visit, especially with things like my Tri Delta being new just this past year, and then the new officer structure happening during COVID for that transition. A lot of officers I meet with are completely new to things like the resource library, leader.org, and so that's always helpful. But then even chapters who are doing like amazing operationally can always benefit from like some fine tuning and like how to be more creative and engage with the chapter. So I feel like whatever chapter I go to, whether it's like SOS, we're on probation and we need help doing all these terms, or we're operating perfectly to the T, now we just want to have like more fun sisterhood events, that's something that a consultant can help you with.
Definitely, Emma. I think like a good term for it is kind of a reset. I think you get a few of those throughout the year. Definitely CLC is one of them, where you like come together and figure out what you want to do. But I think a consultant is great because it makes everyone get together and think, okay, especially if it's the middle of the year, where are we going? How are we doing on these goals? And then how do you reach those goals? Sometimes it feels like you're just speaking into the void of Tri Delta, like, can I do XYZ? So I think it's been really helpful for collegians to look someone in the eyes and be like, I don't know how to do this and this, and then get the answers immediately. It's just, I think that's really helpful.
Absolutely. So you heard it here first. If you're a collegiate officer listening here, if any of those things sound like things you might need assistance with, you can request a CDC visit through your chapter volunteers. But of course, the benefits stretch far and wide. Curious from this group, what do you think is your greatest accomplishment as a CDC? I need some like thinking music in the background.
I've worked with a lot of chapters that are either navigating through probation or like recently coming out of probation. Some of them also have some big membership gaps on their roster due to retention. And so it's been really rewarding working with some of those chapters, and seeing how they've grown, not just like statistically on paper of like, okay, all of your percentages on your RFM report went up, but then also just seeing how members interact with each other. And so I think that's one of my greatest accomplishments, is helping officers kind of see their potential and empower them to make those changes on their own.
I feel like I have to say establishing Kenyon. I mean, it's been great. I've just been trucking here by myself, but I've met so many incredible people. There were 4 women that reached out that were really the spearheads on their campus for this, and they're incredible. And it's just they almost are like trying to do too much. I feel like they want to jump headfirst into Tri Delta. They love everything about it, and it's really heartwarming because I know a lot of times you go as a consultant and sometimes it can just be like all the problems, but it's really awesome to go somewhere and it's just like just so much new hope and there's no problems. It's just it's excitement, which is just really refreshing.
I think for me, I've worked with one specific campus that sticks out to me, and they had a really tough recruitment overall. There were a lot of just like instabilities and things that just kept kind of popping up that resulted in a lot of like backlash from the university. And so being on that campus at the time as a more seasoned second year consultant, I was able to go in and kind of plead the case for Panhellenic on their behalf as to why Greek life is something that can really be a transformative experience for students. Not only does it teach you about sisterhood, morale, and values, you also learn so many different things when it comes to leadership, personal finance, financial literacy, credit, like all of these other things that you may not necessarily have access to, whether it be your major, your background, where you come from, the university itself. And so being able to really just advocate for not only our organization, but the other 9 organizations that were on that campus as a leader was probably one of the most significant experiences for me. Absolutely. And I'm a believer in small wins, but that was a really big win for me, and I'm very proud of it.
You all should be so proud of everything you've done. I mean, these are incredible things that you accomplished, and you're 2 years out of college. I mean, this job, I think, does really remarkable things for the women who take on this role. I mean, I can't imagine who I would be if I hadn't done it. So it's so wonderful to hear that it continues to be such a transformative experience for all the women who graduate and want to keep going. I feel like sometimes people think we're crazy to keep wanting to do Tri Delta, but we love it and here we are. And speaking of crazy, I want to know the craziest, weirdest thing that happened to you. Mine was that I always felt like I ended up in a first aid situation. Like I kept having to give people band-aids or like take someone to the doctor. What is your crazy, not in the job description thing that happened to you in this role?
The amount of balloon arches I have made in the 2 years working for Tri Delta is unmatched. And honestly, like now when I have a recruitment visit, I volunteer because I feel like I'm just so good at this point. And it's just a great time to also talk with like general members, like non-officers. So yeah, I feel like I'm a balloon arch connoisseur at this point.
The other senior CDCs know something was in the air last year. Every chapter I went to, something bonkers happened. But I would say probably the most bonkers thing, I won't get into the whole story, but I did spend the day in a police station, not arrested, but just there to support another member that was going through some things. And I remember sending a Snapchat to our like consultant group chat, like in the police station. Like
So unhinged.
It's so true. It's so true. I've also likewise been into some other spaces that were just like not in the job description at all, whether it be on campus or off campus. I think, and this is kind of in the job description, but I definitely just did it to myself when I was traveling from Illinois to Wisconsin, which is very close, like geographically very, very close, and it's very convenient to get there. And I couldn't check my bag because I was 2 minutes like closer from being 45 minutes early. And this was at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I was already just in a mood and hangry and not about to step on a plane. I could not get in a flight until 9 p.m. that evening when I had to rebook everything. And the more I thought about it, when I actually got to Wisconsin, they were telling me, they were like, Chen, you know, it would have been faster for you to just get in a car and drive up here. waiting in the state of Illinois for my rescheduled flight that day. And it was like a horrible travel day. And now I get to the airport literally 3 hours beforehand because I'm so paranoid about my check bag. But that was one of the things that definitely sticks out to me. And every time I'm trying to plan and troubleshoot my travel day schedule, I always have that fun memory in mind.
Wow, this role just puts us all into some very interesting predicaments. I think I'm like sitting here trying to rack my brain because it's been 5 to 6 years since mine. And I think my first semester, there were a lot of crazy wildfires in the Pacific Northwest. And so my very first visit by myself, my flight was canceled completely because the visibility was low. So I had to stay in a hotel in Seattle by myself. But then while I was visiting chapters in the PNW, I had to wear a mask. So this was pre-COVID, but I had to wear a mask because breathing in the air was so dangerous. And that's something that is very unfamiliar to me as a Chicagoan. We don't have wildfires. So, but also Shannon, I feel bad that you were stuck in a Chicago airport. I do apologize for that in advance. Question, what are you thinking that you're going to miss the most about this role when you are done?
I'm gonna miss Aaron and Emma and texting them at like hours of the night that I know no one else is awake, but they are. No, I'm gonna miss the team and the people that I work with. It like 100%. These two especially have just been like my ride or die throughout this entire year. So I'm gonna miss our weekly chats and emergency check-ins.
Yeah, it's always nice to have an impromptu FaceTime at like 9 p.m. at night of like, okay, this is what is blowing up at this chapter, thoughts, ideas. That's definitely been super helpful. But then also too, it's nice to talk with like the whole CDC team, but then also with like Shannon and Aaron, because they've done a second year. And so they're also familiar with like all the things that we had to do last year as well. So definitely gonna miss that.
Yeah, I am also gonna miss you guys, but you also can't get rid of me. So like, don't forget if I text you at 9 p.m. like I'm still here. Yeah, just you guys and then everyone that I've met. I feel like we have so many incredible collegians that it's like I could name 20 different incredible people that they like told me what they do, and I'm just like, that's incredible. What? I know one of them, Mandy Chick, she's a professional NASCAR race car driver. She was on the cover of the magazine, and now I brag to everyone. It's like, I know a race car driver. So just like it's crazy the people you meet.
It doesn't go away, y'all. It really doesn't. Like, these are connections that you have forever. My CDC team group chat, we still text, I will say weekly at least. And we are nearly 3 years removed, and I still talk to everyone about everything. They're like, okay, Meredith, you're the one who's still there. What's going on? How are things? Can you help me find this has changed in a resource? Can you tell me what's different about slating now? I'm like, I don't even work in member experience. I really can't help you. I know what you know. But it doesn't go away. So like hold on to it because you can. And it's, I mean, we're the only people who've done the job. So you gotta find those people out in the world. Okay. Since we're doing sappy stuff now, what advice do you have for Tri-Delta collegians who think that they want to be a consultant?
I say just like put yourself out there and go for it full send. Like I knew I really wanted to be a CDC, but I was so nervous because like, well, how many people are going to apply? Like, I don't know if I'm going to get it or not. Just like full send. I mean, the worst thing that happens is you don't get the job and you get to practice being interviewed by like other Tri-Deltas and like women in leadership that are amazing and awesome and use it as like a network opportunity. So I think I would definitely tell them that. And then if they then get hired, like put yourself out of your comfort zone, eat meals with people, and like just get excited, make connections, because the more you interact with collegians, the more comfortable they're going to feel with you and the more information you're then going to be able to like get from them to then help them improve their chapter. So definitely push yourself to get involved.
Definitely. I think there's a million reasons that people can come up with not to apply, but there's also a million reasons and more to apply that they don't even recognize yet. I always say it's like I feel like I could do any job in the world after this job. Like it's prepared me for everything. And I think I can't like you can't even put into words how much this changes you. And I just think it's something that you should experience. And you have your whole life to go to grad school, work a 9 to 5 job at the office. You only have this time to travel the United States and Canada and meet all these awesome people.
It's so true. I think one of the biggest things that I have learned from this role, particularly, is being able to be comfortable with yourself and comfortable with just like being alone, and that's okay. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't even grasp throughout their entire lives. It's a skill to be learned. It's something that you can learn day to day. And being able to take that, especially being young and in your 20s, where you should be living your life and just experiencing new things, being comfortable with being uncomfortable is literally the biggest piece of advice and the biggest top-notch skill to have once you leave that safe space of college. And I will take every single experience and lesson with it every single day.
I love that. That was my saying always going through my first year as a consultant, was just get comfortable with the uncomfortable. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. Well, clearly you all have had a wealth of experiences. You all have so much to offer. You're talented. You have skills as leaders. You've given so much to Tri Delta. Hopefully you've gotten a lot of that back in return in this role. I'm just curious what comes next for you after this chapter.
I personally would love to continue consulting. I don't know exactly where that's going to be just yet, as well as business school. That's something that's on the horizons for me after I have my little retirement party May 15th. I'm going to be studying for the GMAT, which I'm very nervous but excited about, and starting to make that pivot towards my long-term career. But at the same time, I could wake up tomorrow and decide I want to move to like Japan or something, knowing me. So a little bit of the unknown, but some more big picture items after I spend the summer at the Jersey Shore.
Go ahead, Emma.
Yeah, so kind of similar to Shannon, no like concrete plans as of now, wanting to do something with like educational programming or event planning. Kind of similar line, would also love to continue working with like young women in leadership, whether that is like on a campus within Greek life, or eventually be an advisor for Tri Delta. So that's definitely something that in this role, I feel like I've gotten a lot more exposure to what lifetime membership in Tri Delta looks like. And so I'm excited to explore that even when I'm not working for them anymore.
Right now, God willing, I am going back to my original career path, doing a 180 turn, and I'm gonna be working in the costume department for an upcoming movie in Atlanta in May, so that'll be really exciting. It's a little stressful because it's not like a stable job, quote unquote, but I was like, you know what? You need to nut up and like do what you love. So we're gonna see how that goes.
Lovely. Well, I cannot wait to see where you all go from here. I know the time that we've had with you and staff has been so amazing. Like I said, your impact with Tri Delta has been felt through and through. So I just appreciate having you all here, sharing more about what it's like to be on the road as a CDC. I also want to give a thank you to everybody here in podcast land.
And don't forget, convention this summer. Come flamingo with us, July 11th to the 14th in Orlando, Florida. Registration is open. Everyone's invited. It's going to be an awesome time. There's going to be so many Tri Deltas. You're going to see old friends. You're going to make new friends. It's going to be wonderful. So head to tridelta.orss.com. But I don't know. Go to the Tri Delta website and go to the events tab, and there you can learn about Tri Delta's convention, get all the details. And don't forget to like and rate our podcast. In Tri Delta, we do things in threes, but we would love 5 stars from you on our podcast.
Yes. Thank you all so much. Until next time, Delta love.